Once upon a time, in a peaceful pond, there lived a slow but wise turtle named Toby. Toby loved to spend his days basking in the sun and sharing advice with the younger animals. One day, a group of playful rabbits hopped by. They were known for their speed and were always racing each other. When they saw Toby, they laughed. "Why are you so slow, Toby? You'll never win a race like us." Toby smiled calmly and said, "Speed isn't everything. Sometimes patience and steady effort can take you far." The rabbits giggled and decided to challenge Toby to a race. "Let's see if your wisdom can beat our speed," they teased. Toby agreed with a nod. The next day, the race began. The rabbits sprinted ahead, leaving Toby far behind. Feeling confident, they stopped to rest under a tree, thinking Toby would take hours to catch up. Meanwhile, Toby kept moving steadily, step by step. He didn't stop or rush. He simply focused on the path ahead. By the time the rabbits woke up from their nap, Toby was almost at the finish line. The rabbits dashed toward the end, but it was too late. Toby had already won. The crowd cheered for the wise little turtle. Toby smiled and said, "Slow and steady wins the race." The rabbits learned an important lesson that day. Patience and perseverance can lead to success. Moral of the story: consistency and determination are more important than speed. Slow and steady wins the race. The Fox and the Grapes. On a hot summer afternoon, a hungry fox wandered through the forest looking for food. As he walked, he came across a vineyard. Hanging on a high vine were the juiciest, plumpest grapes the fox had ever seen. His mouth watered as he imagined how delicious they would taste. "Those grapes will be mine," he thought. The fox leaped high into the air, snapping his jaws, but he couldn't reach the grapes. He tried jumping again and again, but the grapes were just too high. Finally, tired and frustrated, the fox gave up. He walked away, muttering to himself, "Those grapes are probably sour anyway." Moral of the story: it's easy to despise what you cannot have. Instead of giving up, work harder and find ways to achieve your goals. The Elephant and the Small Friends. Once upon a time, there was a large elephant named Ella who lived in a dense forest. Ella was proud of her size and strength, but she had no friends because she thought smaller animals were unimportant. One hot afternoon, Ella was walking through the forest when she came across a colony of ants struggling to carry food to their hill. She laughed. "Why do you work so hard? You're so small that nothing you do really matters." The ants felt hurt, but didn't say anything. Later that day, Ella was resting near the river when a swarm of bees buzzed past her. One bee asked for her help to move a fallen flower they needed for nectar. "Why should I help you? You're tiny and can't do anything for me," Ella replied. A few days later, Ella got caught in a hunter's net. She roared and struggled, but her strength couldn't break the ropes. She cried for help, but none of the big animals came. Hearing her cries, the ants and the bees rushed to help. The ants bit through the ropes, while the bees buzzed around the hunters, scaring them away. In no time, Ella was free. Ella looked at her small saviors and said, "I was wrong to think you were unimportant. Thank you for saving me. From now on, I'll respect everyone no matter their size." From that day, Ella became friends with all the animals, big and small. Moral of the story: never underestimate anyone. Everyone has their own unique value and strength. Today's story: The Boy and the Starfish. One morning, a young boy was walking along the beach. The tide had gone out, leaving hundreds of starfish stranded on the sand. The boy began picking up the starfish one by one and gently tossing them back into the ocean. A man passing by saw the boy and said, "Why are you doing that? There are so many starfish here. You can't possibly save them all. What difference does it make?" The boy picked up another starfish, threw it into the ocean, and smiled. "It made a difference to that one," he replied. The man was silent for a moment. Then he bent down and began helping the boy return the starfish to the sea. Moral of the story: every small act of kindness matters, even if it seems like just a drop in the ocean. Once upon a time, a poor woodcutter named Raj lived near a forest. He earned his living by cutting wood and selling it in the village. One day, while cutting a tree by the river, Raj's axe slipped from his hand and fell into the water. The river was deep, and he couldn't retrieve it. Raj sat by the riverbank, feeling sad. Suddenly, a kind water spirit appeared. "Why are you upset?" she asked. Raj explained what had happened. The spirit smiled and dove into the water. She came back with a golden axe and asked, "Is this your axe?" Raj shook his head. "No, that's not mine." The spirit disappeared again and returned with a silver axe. "Is this yours?" Again, Raj replied, "No, that's not mine either. My axe was plain and made of iron." Finally, the spirit brought back an old iron axe. Raj's face lit up. "Yes, that's my axe." The spirit was pleased with his honesty. "Because you told the truth, I'll give you all 3 axes as a reward," she said, handing him the golden, silver, and iron axes. Raj thanked the spirit and returned home, happy and grateful. Moral of the story: honesty is always rewarded. Telling the truth brings trust and good fortune.
The selfish dog. One sunny day, a dog found a big, juicy bone. He was so happy and proud of his find that he carried it in his mouth and ran to a nearby river. As he walked along the riverbank, he saw his reflection in the water. Thinking it was another dog with a bigger bone, he grew jealous. "I want that bone too," he thought. Without realizing it was just his reflection, the dog barked at the other dog to scare him away. But as he opened his mouth to bark, his own bone fell into the river with a splash. The dog looked into the water, but his bone was gone. He walked home sadly, realizing that his greed had cost him what he already had. Moral of the story: be content with what you have, and don't let greed make you lose something valuable.